The Odyssey is an epic poem about the long and difficult journey of Odysseus, the great hero of ancient Greece, after the war between Greek and the city of Troy, Trojan War, which lasted for 10 years. The Odyssey was written by Homer, the author of two Greek epic poems, Iliad and Odyssey. Who is Homer actually? In earlier centuries, many people argued that Homer was not a person, but a traditional name attached to works that were really collectively composed. However, recently people had the idea that the Iliad and Odyssey were composed by a single person, and that would be Homer. 10 years have passed since the fall of Troy. Odysseus still has not returned to his kingdom in Ithaca. On the way home, Odysseus and his crew land in several unknown islands. Firstly, they meet a Cyclops, the son of Poseidon. They are trapped in his cave and finally succeed to escape by making him drunk and fall asleep, and then blind him with a wooden stake. On the next stop, Odysseus meets Aeolus, the god of wind. He provides Odysseus with a bag of winds to aid his return to Ithaca. When Odysseus asks why Aeolus helps him, the answer is because Odysseus is the only man who uses his mind and knows that there's always something to learn. Then, they are almost back to Ithaca, but the crew greedily opens the bag and sends the ship to another unknown island. On that island, the goddess Circe tricks Odysseus' men and turns them into animals. Odysseus then goes to find his men. With help of the god Hermes, Odysseus defies her spell and metamorphoses the men back into humans. They stay on Circe's island in the lap of luxury. But Odysseus keeps remembering his wife. Odysseus then insists Circe to tell him how to go home. Odysseus becomes angry when Circe tells him that he has been staying there for 5 years. Threatened by Odysseus, Circe then suggests him to find the dead prophet Tiresias to ask the way home. To reach Tiresias, he has to go down to the underworld, the kingdom of the dead. Before he met Tiresias, he says to his men to leave him if he doesn't come back. They have to row without end until they reach Ithaca. Tiresias suggests him to sail towards the brightest star until he reaches the Strait of Scylla and Charybdis. Odysseus then back to his men, and all of them sail to the Strait of Scylla and Charybdis. In their place, all of them are swallowed by Scylla and Charybdis by Odysseus. Then Odysseus is wafted ashore the island of Ogygia and becomes a prisoner of Calypso for several years. He is compelled to remain there as Calypso's lover. However, he is still thinking about his wife, Penelope, until one day, she was ordered by Zeus via Hermes to release Odysseus. Odysseus builds a raft and starts to sail again to return to Ithaca. But his journey was not that easy. When Poseidon finds out that Odysseus has escaped, Poseidon wrecks the raft. Then Odysseus lands up in the land of mariners and fishermen, the Phaeacia. The Phaeacians hospitably give him gifts and bring him home to Ithaca. Odysseus finally lands in Ithaca. He meets Eumaeus and then reunites with his son Telemachus. The goddess of wisdom Athena disguises Odysseus as a beggar and instructs him to investigate his palace. When Odysseus arrives at the palace disguised as a beggar, he endures abuse and insults from the suitors. Penelope, who notes the resemblance between the beggar and her presumably dead husband, proposes a contest. She will at last marry the suitor who can string Odysseus' great bow and shoot an arrow through a dozen axe heads. Unfortunately, none of them succeed. The beggar then tries to string it and shot an arrow through a dozen axe heads. He makes it and the suitors become curious who the beggar is. Suddenly, the beggar turns to his real identity, Odysseus. With Telemachus, Eumaeus, and his goatherd Peloteus his side, Odysseus leads the massacre of the suitors. At the end, Odysseus lovingly reunites with Penelope. Alright, that's the story of Odysseus. Now, what can we learn from this story, especially from Odysseus? I think the first lesson we can learn is loyalty. Odysseus' devotion to his family, his country, and his god is unwavering. Along his journey, Odysseus has the opportunity to be unfaithful to his wife, renounce his country, and ignore his beliefs. Even though sometimes he falters and some of his decisions have negative consequences, his allegiance, love for his wife, and desire to return home never wanes. The second lesson that we can learn is self-control. Odysseus shows self-control when he holds back and doesn't kill the Cyclops. He waits for the right opportunity so he can gouge his eyes out and escape. Even though some of his men, those with poor riding skills, are killed by the Cyclops, his self-control keeps his whole crew from being slaughtered. The last lesson that we can get from Odysseus' story is responsibility and not to be selfish. When his men are turned into animals by Circe, he may choose to run and abandon them. Instead, he comes to Circe and asks her to bring back his men into human. Odysseus is also not a selfish leader. Remember, before he enters the underworld, he tells his men to row to Ithaca if he doesn't return. Thus, from Odysseus in the Odyssey and also from some events that he has been through, we can conclude that Odysseus is persevering king, husband, and father. Despite many obstacles and challenges he faces, Odysseus never gives up.